know that I am a huge advocate of having your own website, and I recently learned that most real estate websites are not compliant with all of the current laws and regulations. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to get sued. So when I found out that I was doing it wrong, I realized I had a problem. Welcome, friends. I'm Karin Carr, and you know that I love to teach people all about using YouTube and your website to get new clients. So I am very, very excited to have with me two guests today. I have here Hans and Donata Skillrud. They are the founders of Termageddon.com. And Termageddon.com, I will let them tell you exactly what it is, but it is a piece that you can use with your real estate website that helps you be in compliance so that you don't get sued. You don't want anybody coming after you because of what it said on your website. So guys, why don't you tell me, like, what are privacy policies and terms and conditions and cookies, and why should we care about all that?
Sounds great. And I think we put even a little presentation together for your audience. Because nothing is more interesting than talking about privacy policies.
I know.
And doing a presentation. So, we really just want to step up the sleep factor on today's video. So
do you want to share that presentation?
Yes.
And we'll kind of run through the things that you need to know as a real estate agent, and talk about some of the mistakes that a lot of real estate agents make when it comes to their website and compliance.
Okay, got it. So are you guys able to share your screen?
Yep.
All right.
All right.
There we go.
Awesome. So today we'll talk about the 3 rookie mistakes on your real estate website that can get you sued or get you in trouble. Before we start, quick disclaimer: even though I am a licensed attorney, this presentation is not legal advice. We do not provide legal advice, including when answering any questions that you might have. We always recommend speaking to your own attorney about anything compliance or legal related.
And Karen, I just want to confirm, you can see our screen okay?
Yep, I sure can. We see the whole thing.
Awesome. So today we'll talk about 3 things: the legal requirements of a privacy policy and penalties for non-compliance, disclosures within a terms of service that can prevent you from being sued, and website policy best practices for real estate agents. Now, before we get into all of that, I'd like to just take a second to introduce ourselves. My name is Donata, and I'm the president of Termageddon. I'm a licensed attorney, and I'm the vice chair of the American Bar Association's E-Privacy Committee and the Chicago chapter chair of the International Association of Privacy Professionals. I've been working in privacy law for about the last 5 years, and I'm very happy to share with you my expertise and experience today.
My name is Hans. I am the co-founder and vice president of Termageddon. I oversee sales and marketing and the software. Prior to Termageddon, I ran a 12-person software company in downtown Chicago. And Donata and I, if you haven't picked up on the clues, we are married. And when we're not working, you can find us typically in our backyard, working on our garden or handling our bees or taking care of our chickens. And that lovely little dog in the center of that center bottom of the photo of the screen is our husky, who is below our table right now and may scream later, which I will remove her from this room if that happens.
No worries. We are all working from home, and everybody's got dogs and kids. It's like totally normal these days.
Great.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad we're not the only ones who have like a screaming something around. So for the first part, we're going to talk about what websites need to have a privacy policy. There's a lot of misconceptions here. So some people think that only websites that sell personal information need to have one. Websites that are for giant multinational corporations like Coca-Cola need one. So today we're going to talk about, how to determine if your website needs to have a privacy policy. So the one definition that we have here today is personally identifiable information, also referred to as PII. And PII is any data that could identify an individual. So anything that could identify someone.
And before we go any further, I do want to note this is the only definition we're going to ask you to learn today. We know
you're not even asked to learn it. There's no quiz at the end.
Yeah, there's no quiz. That's true.
Some examples of PII are names, emails, phone numbers, IP address, physical address, things like that. So all of those are examples of personally identifiable information, or PII.
Now, when it comes to websites and PII, I think it's important to note that any website that has as little as a contact form on their contact page is collecting personally identifiable information. Contact forms ask for name and email. These are the examples that we're speaking about.
Yeah, and you'll see a lot of real estate websites will also ask people to subscribe to a newsletter. That's another example of a form that collects PII. So here's an example from our own website. Here's our Contact Us form. It tells you to submit your comments, questions, or concerns, and we'll reach out to you. As you can see, the form collects name and email. So both of those are PII, and this contact form collects PII. So, go to your website, go through all of the pages, go to the Contact Us page, see what PII you're collecting. And here's the most important part of this presentation today is any website that collects PII needs to have a privacy policy. So if your website has a contact form, if your website has a newsletter sign-up form, you need to have a privacy policy. And why is that the case? Because a privacy policy is a requirement of multiple privacy laws.
Now, let me ask you a quick question. If you are a real estate agent and your brokerage provides a website for you, is this automatically going to be on that site? Like, does it have a privacy policy built into it?
I'm not familiar with any brokerage providing the privacy policies to the actual real estate agent. For all the people that we see come through our platform, and for what I've seen back when I was running a web design and software company, it seems like the agent is the owner of those microsites that the main company creates for them.
Yeah, and the agent is usually responsible for compliance with various laws that apply to that website, including privacy laws. So it's pretty unlikely that your brokerage would be providing you with a privacy policy with your site. Oh, sorry, here's another dog.
And there's the dog. So that is actually something really, really good to know, because I would just assume if my company was giving me this website that it already has all of that stuff built in, and I as a realtor would never even think to ask that question. So I'm glad that you clarified that.
Yeah, you should definitely ask them and look at the footer of the website. Usually websites will have a footer that says privacy policy on it. If you click on that page and there's a privacy policy in there, you're one of the few people who lucked out. But most of the time there's nothing there, and the real estate agent themselves is responsible for making sure that they're compliant with privacy laws.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and so basically, at a very basic level, privacy laws regulate the collection and use of PII. So privacy laws require websites to make certain disclosures for consumers. So, for example, what PII is collected, what is done with that PII, and who the PII is shared with. And those disclosures are usually made in the privacy policy. Now, just to be clear, those aren't the only disclosures that a privacy policy contains. There are a lot more disclosures that are in there, but those are kind of just the meat and potatoes of what a privacy policy is. Now, there are certain privacy laws in the United States, Canada, and the European Union that apply to the collection of PII by websites. Now, I won't bore all of you to death by going through each of these, but basically the main thing that you need to remember is that privacy laws protect consumers and not businesses. They also have very broad application. So as you know, anybody from anywhere could submit a contact form to your website. So if you're a real estate agent in Illinois, somebody from California might be submitting their information to you because they want to move to Illinois. So if you're collecting PII of people from other areas, if you're doing business with people from other areas, things like that, you might need to comply with privacy laws that are passed in other states, or other countries.
Now, what if your brokerage website does provide a policy, a privacy policy? Is that good enough, or do we need to go in there and look at what it says and make sure that it has everything to cover us legally?
So privacy policies are very specific based on what privacy laws apply to you. So if a brokerage is providing the same privacy policy to all of its agents throughout the United States, you can almost bet that privacy policy is not right for you, because different agents do business in different places. They sell homes in different places. So you need to make sure that the privacy policy is proper for you. So if your brokerage does provide you with a privacy policy, what I would ask is, what privacy laws does this privacy policy comply with? And do those privacy laws apply to you? And we'll get into this in a second, but I would also ask your brokerage, how do you intend to keep this privacy policy up to date? If your brokerage does not have an answer to those questions, you know that privacy policy isn't right for you, and you might need to find out a different solution.
We would also welcome a conversation with any brokerage, certainly.
Yeah, if there's any brokerages online, give us a call. I would love to help. But, don't just trust whatever document is provided to you. Make sure that it's right for you.
And then this is just a restatement of what Donata just shared, but it's so important for people to understand. Privacy laws do not care about your business. Privacy laws care about protecting the personal information of its citizens, residents, or consumers, however they want to define it. So if your business collects personal information from people from these states or countries or continents, you may need to comply with those privacy laws and provide the exact disclosures that they require you to disclose.
Now, real estate websites do collect PII from people all over, not just within their state. So because you have people reaching out to you from other states, you want to make sure that your privacy policy is compliant with and addresses multiple privacy laws, whatever privacy laws apply to you. Now, more privacy laws are coming. This lovely chart that I made tracks all of the privacy bill proposals in the United States. Interesting fact, in the last week, this chart has been updated 4 times. And I cannot tell you how much I hate spreadsheets, so that's a burden that I have to deal with. But more and more states are proposing their own privacy bills. All of these would require privacy policies to make new disclosures. Some of these would apply to large businesses only, but most of them don't care how big your business is. And most importantly, some of these would allow consumers to sue businesses directly for privacy law violations. So not having a compliant privacy policy can mean that you get fined or sued for violations. So that's why it's really important to ask your brokerage, if they give you a privacy policy, to ask them how they intend to keep that privacy policy up to date with all of these changes. And you can find this chart continuously kept up to date by me at termageddon.com on our blog. You can find this chart, and we also have a federal privacy law tracker, even though there's really no movement on a federal level as to privacy laws right now. But we'll see what happens in the future.
Wow.
Now, what happens if you're not compliant with privacy laws? So what happens if you have your real estate website, people are submitting their PII, but you don't have a privacy policy, or you have a privacy policy that's not compliant with all of the laws that apply to you? The penalties for not complying with privacy laws can range from $2,500 per violation to 20 million euros or more in total. And per violation here does not mean per website or per policy. It actually means per website visitor whose privacy rights you infringed upon. So let's say you have 100 website visitors from California this month and you don't have a compliant privacy policy. That fine would be calculated as 2,500 times 100, which can really be a big amount and can really be scary for businesses.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's pretty scary right there. Hey, I have a question. Could we ask the question? David said, does the privacy policy have to be on the landing page or somewhere else on your website? I know you mentioned the footer before.
Yeah. So it really should be on every page of your website in the footer at the very least, so that when consumers are submitting their PII, they can easily see where the privacy policy is. Make sure that it's highly visible. Don't hide it. Don't blend it into the footer. Some people do that. That's a problem. And also, when you are collecting the PII, so for example, in your contact form, we definitely suggest having a little checkbox that asks people to agree to your privacy policy and then links to your privacy policy as well, so that they can read it and make sure they understand it before they submit their PII. And then you have proof that they actually, had the chance to read it as well.
So as long as it's in the footer and the footer appears at the bottom of every single page on your website, that's the ideal situation.
As long as it's clear and visible to consumers, yes. If it's not visible to a consumer, you might as well not even have it.
So don't put the text in white on a white background. Is that
exactly?
Yes, don't do that.
Do not try to hide it.
Yeah, don't try to hide it. And then we also suggest having a checkbox by your forms before they submit their PII, that they can, they select that they read and agreed to the privacy policy as well.
Okay.
So outside of the legal requirements, I do want to note, the fact that there are other benefits to just having a privacy policy in general. And I know we talk about the implications of being non-compliant because, well, we sit here every day seeing all these governing bodies proposing privacy bills, and everyone in the privacy community is like freaking out, but I think the common business owner in America is not aware of what's going on. But outside of that fact, the fact is consumers are becoming more interested in their privacy. I think, I think I don't even need to explain that one. I think everyone's pretty aware of what's been going on from a privacy perspective, just even over the last couple of weeks. So I don't think there's going to be any shortage of movements on consumers being interested in privacy. There's a competitive edge that this also gives to people. And obviously it's not going to be, this is going to close 1,000 more times deals. But the fact is that because more people care about privacy, like when you ignore it and then you're collecting people's emails to send them emails about new listings for sale, and they're automated and they just get, more information about, automated emails from you. Like when you're providing information about their rights and like what you're doing with that information, that is giving you an edge when compared to people who are just ignoring the fact that these privacy laws exist, ignoring the fact that, I'm just going to keep my website non-compliant and I don't really care. The fact is more and more people are caring about this, and this gives you a wonderful chance to demonstrate to people that you're doing the right thing and that you're treating privacy as a fundamental right, and you're not abusing people's privacy.
So the summary of part one, privacy policies needed to comply with multiple privacy laws, and the penalties for non-compliance are high, starting at $2,500 per website visitor. So part two, we'll go through this pretty quickly as well. Another thing that a lot of real estate agent websites are missing, or that a lot of real estate agents are curious about, is how can a terms of service help me from getting sued? So first, let's start by talking about what is a terms of service. A terms of service explains the rules of using your website. It can also answer commonly asked questions from consumers, like how to start and terminate an account, what can I upload onto your website, and what your responsibilities are regarding your website. And the most important part of the terms of service is that it can help you limit your liability in case things go wrong. Any business owner wants to limit their liability. We obviously don't want to pay out for things, and we want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. And a terms of service is an integral part of doing that. So a couple benefits that a terms of service provides: limits your liability in case of copyright infringements, ensures that no inappropriate materials are uploaded onto your website. Those two, I would say, are probably the most important for real estate agents. A lot of real estate agents feature pictures of homes, allow customers to upload pictures of their homes and list them. Those can lead to copyright infringements as well. They can also lead to inappropriate items on your website. So terms of service can help you protect yourself. Can also limit your liability if your website has links to third-party websites, such as the link to your brokerage. If somebody clicks on that link, they can, get a virus or something else and then blame you for it. You want to make sure that doesn't happen. And it can also reduce the cost by choosing where disputes will be resolved.
So the big one I like to share with the real estate industry is the DMCA safe harbor notices, which are essential to real estate websites, because most real estate agent websites usually have some sort of IDX hookup where they're feeding imagery of homes for sale, and maybe you have your featured homes as well, or buildings. But the fact is, and you can Google search this, DMCA lawsuits, real estate agents, or some combination of those keywords. And you'll see that this is a growing issue of real estate agents that have websites where they have copywritten images on the website without their knowledge, or maybe outside of the IDX integration, maybe they just uploaded some, nice beach scenes of a beach in their area, demonstrating, just some of the nice things about the town that they are selling homes in. The fact is if those images are licensed and you are not licensing them correctly, you could get a letter from people, from someone suing you saying, hey, that's our property. We never gave you approval to list this. And here's a $10,000 lawsuit we're going to threaten you with. And I'd imagine, Karen, given how big your client size, or how big your audience is, I'd imagine there's probably some people listening to this right now that have actually experienced this. And what's crazy is that a DMCA notice is a disclosure that you can add to your terms of service that basically says, hey, if we're doing anything wrong with copyright infringement, just let us know. Here's literally all of our contact information. Let us know what we're doing wrong, and we will resolve the issue. This has been known to help prevent people from being sued for copyright infringement, and it's such an easy disclosure to add to any website.
And then lastly, we'll run through some website policy best practices. So where do you obtain website policies? Where do you obtain a privacy policy or terms of service? One, you can hire a privacy attorney to draft, monitor, and update your privacy policy as the laws change. Make sure that it's an attorney that actually focuses their work on privacy. Asking your divorce attorney is probably not the best place because they won't know. Or if you're looking for a more cost-effective solution, you can use a website policies generator like Termageddon to generate and have automatic updates pushed to your policies, helping you stay up to date.
If we can go back there just for a second.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Donata hit on it, but I do want to echo it. Privacy attorneys, they're the best option. If you can afford a privacy attorney to constantly keep up to date with privacy laws and push updates to your policies when these laws change, go with that route. Nothing beats a privacy attorney doing it all for you. The fact is, and the reality is, most small businesses do not have the funds to pay a privacy attorney on a monthly, annual basis to constantly monitor privacy laws. And that's why website policy generators like us are becoming more popular as an alternative. Now, the pro to a website generator is the fact, it's all good. The pro to a website generator is the fact that you can generate policies in 20 minutes. And because we're leveraging technology, we are able to we're able to monitor privacy laws on our side, notify you when new laws have gone into effect, and even push the updates automatically to your privacy policy pages. The con to a website generator is that they're not legal service providers. They're technology companies. So we never can provide you legal advice or anything like that. But the cool thing about those generators is that it asks you a series of questions to figure out what privacy laws apply to you, and then asks you a series of more questions to answer the specific disclosures required by the privacy laws you need to comply with. So I think that's a really cool reason why, even attorneys use platforms like Termageddon for their own websites and for their clients.
And the next best practice is keep it up to date. So new or amended privacy laws may require new disclosures to be provided in your privacy policy.
Oh, I didn't fill that in, sorry.
So make sure to keep your policies up to date as well. So if you are interested in signing up for Termageddon, you can use code Karin, K-A-R-I-N, for 20% off your first year. And we also offer help in getting your policies set up as well. If you just want to schedule a meeting with us, please email us or use our booking link below.
And I'll add a booking link into the chat. Just so you know, Termageddon, we're $99 a year. There's no hidden fees. It includes a set of policies for your website. So it includes both the privacy policy and terms of service. Yeah, 20% off your first order if you use Karin. And again, I will add a link. If you want a complimentary onboarding, we'd be more than happy to walk you through our questionnaire.
Yeah. So Karin, I think we have a couple minutes left. I'm not sure if there's any questions that we can help answer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get to the questions, I just want to let you know that I am a Termageddon customer myself. I didn't really understand how important the privacy policy was. So one of my mutual friends talked me into getting this thing. I did the onboarding call with Hans, and he basically got on the phone with me and just asked me a whole bunch of questions of, do you do this on your website, and what type of people are you talking to? And we got that thing set up in no time. It was a piece of cake. It was something that I never would have been able to do on my own without assistance. But by having somebody just walk me through it and hold my hand, it's done. And now it's $99 for the whole year. It like I can't even tell you what a great deal that is. And you're going to get 20% off. So I would highly suggest it. Even if you do have a website that you think is great, you can always add this and let somebody else be updating that privacy policy for you every time the new law comes out. And then you don't have to be worried about it.
Well, and I was
No,
just
go ahead.
what I loved about our conversation is, I mean, you've been a client with us for actually over a year, and then you came in for some additional websites. And so the second time we connected, I just helped you like last time, and we were just driving during that call. And then I find out you have an entire presence online. So we got to talking about that. And it was just so cool that you were receptive to us kind of sharing this message with other people. So I love how naturally it all happened. That was
I know, it really did, because I've been telling people for years, like, you've got to have your own website, because if you want to have a presence on Google, your brokerage provided website probably is not going to rank on Google. So it's great to have, and it looks very professional. It's beautiful. But if I go do a search for like best realtor in Cincinnati, if you've got your brokerage provided website, it's probably not going to show up on the first page of Google unless you pay to have an ad there. So I'm a big advocate in having your own website. But I figured, whatever privacy policy comes with the website was probably good enough, because this company is the one that provided me with the template for the website. And as you educated me, well, no, they're a technology company. They are not a legal company. So you need to be in charge of having your butt covered legally on your own website if you're the one running it. So yeah, I'm really glad that you wanted to come on and talk about this and how we could share the news, because I don't want any of my friends getting sued. So here's another question that I had from David. He said, what about something like a meme? Like, you publish a meme to be funny. Is that ever something that could be like a copyright issue if you put it on your website?
Yeah, absolutely. So it all depends on where you get an image from. So let's say I were to take an image from a paid website, like a website where you pay for photographs, and I just copied and pasted that image and never paid them. That is copyright infringement. So be very careful about taking images from Google or different websites without paying for those, because you could end up getting caught up in a copyright infringement issue. Now, there are some images that are in the public domain. So some images you can use, however you'd like, but usually those are marked as such. So make sure you're using images responsibly.
And, I think with the memes wouldn't be what they have become if everyone was getting sued all the time for posting memes. So I think of it a lot like a game of roulette. Like, if you're doing it just blindly, you're just kind of running a risk that you might not need to run if you were just to kind of look into something, be a little bit more conscious before you post it online, basically.
And if you do have any fire memes, please send them to me.
All right, awesome. I'm going to put that link back up on the screen as well so that you can see it.
And in the private chat, I added a link to book us. I know a lot of, we have actually, real estate agents happen to be one of our largest client bases. So I added in our private chat a link to the, to book us that we're more than happy to walk people through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Just send us an email and we can schedule a call as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then here's another question. What about your YouTube channel or your Facebook business pages? Do you have to have a privacy policy for things like that too?
So usually your website will disclose what information you're collecting anywhere. So you can choose whether you want it to be applicable to your website only, or you can choose whether you want it to be applicable to your entire business wherever you're collecting PII. So that's kind of a personal choice that you need to make. As to how you want to do that. So you can either disclose the information that you're collecting via YouTube or Facebook as well, or you can say this is just the information that I'm collecting via Facebook. It just depends on how you'd like to do that.
And most of the time when you run ads like Facebook ads, they require you to list a privacy policy, which you can just reference back to your website privacy policy if you're taking Facebook advertising into account.
I rarely run Facebook ads personally, except when I'm advertising a new listing. So if I do, hey, just hit the market, here's the link. When you are doing that lead ad, that's one of the things it says is where's your privacy policy? And I just go to my website, I copy the URL, I paste it right in there to that lead form on Facebook. On YouTube, we're not really collecting information though, right? They come and they watch your video, but I'm not having them fill out a form.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I was speaking to Facebook ads.
Same thing too, like if you're using Google Analytics, which is a very popular analytics service, Google Analytics, their terms of service requires you to have a privacy policy on your website. So if you do want to use an analytics service like that, make sure you have a privacy policy too.
Got it. Well, that's all the questions that we had. Thank you so much for joining me. I really feel like this is a very important subject that most real estate agents probably just don't think about. And I know that personally, I had not given it any thought at all until, maybe a month ago, and said, oh, this really is a big deal and I need to get it taken care of because the last thing we need is a lawsuit. So I appreciate you offering the discount of $20 off the annual subscription. So go to termageddon.com and use promo code Karin if you guys want to give this a shot. And Hans and Donata, thank you so much. And everybody remember, friends don't let friends cold call.